When bad weather approaches, most Americans are inundated with weather warnings. Current technology allows us to spot the possibility of a tornado while it's in its embryonic stage, alerting many to danger well ahead of the storm. But what if a tornado, an F5 tornado, were to appear out of nowhere with no warning at all? Well, that's what happened in Tupelo, Mississippi in 1936. Sunday, April 5th, 1936. For many of the 7,300 residents of Tupelo, Mississippi, the air was so hot and humid it was difficult to breathe. But an approaching cold front was about to knock that breath right out of them. An F5 tornado, 3 blocks wide and moving at breakneck speed, tore through the city of Tupelo in the early evening hours with no warning. Wind speeds estimated at over 300 miles per hour destroyed 48 city blocks, more than 1,100 homes, 10 churches, and 4 schools. The chaos of splintered boards and lifeless bodies stretched in every direction. It would be the 4th deadliest tornado in our nation's history.
When I heard the storm coming, I looked out the door. It seemed like a ball of fire was whirling toward us. The air roared like a cannon, then it struck. The roof went off, the walls caved in, and we were buried under wreckage. None of us were seriously hurt. The roar died down, and then I heard my neighbors groaning. My next-door neighbor, Dave Tucker, died in my arms. E.A. Sneed, Tupelo, Mississippi.
Only by imagining everything mopped off the map, a scene of 100% destruction, can you imagine how this area looks today? Hardly anything is standing. Bricks, stone, and concrete fell before the wind's onslaught. Paul Fairley, Memphis Press Scimitar.
Edith Gerner doesn't have to imagine it. She lived through it. Now in her early 90s, she was but a girl of 18 when the tornado struck. A casual after-church date at a drive-in diner became a night to remember as the green-black skies exploded.
All of a sudden, all these houses across the street just went down like they were paper. Everything just went down. And I thought the world had ended.
The windows of their car exploded as tree branches clawed to get in. Then they clawed to get out.
We had to kind of dig our way out of the car because part of the tree in a house fell on us and broke the glass and everything. So we dug our way out of the car. Oh, it rained so hard. I've never seen such a hard rain. And we had to climb over debris and everything else to get out of the path of the storm.
Tupelo City Hall was converted into a morgue. An amplifier was stuck in a second-story window, broadcasting pleas from families seeking lost ones. Many would never be reunited.
And there was a cot with this old man laying there, and he reached out and grabbed my hand, and he called me Girlie. He said, "Girlie, I'm going to die. Please hold my hand." And I held his hand, and he died.
As dawn broke and the deadly tornadoes continued east, stunned survivors began to emerge. Volunteers started clearing debris so that help could arrive, and bloated trains began transporting wounded to hospitals across the Mid-South as the eyes of the nation turned to Tupelo.
This is one of the worst calamities that's ever befallen this state. It's hard to believe that anyone in this section visited by the storm survived. First, our duty is to bury the dead. Then we'll think about rebuilding. Mississippi Governor Hugh White.
Some would leave, never to return, but others would stay. They would put their shoulders into the work, rebuilding Tupelo on a new foundation for the city and for themselves.
It brings out the best, though, in other people. It gives you a feeling you want to help everybody. And it also gives you an outlook that stuff doesn't make all that much difference. You know, I think we all get hung up on material things, and that's normal to some extent, but at that time you don't care.
Official death totals for the Tupelo tornado, roughly 250 people, are largely discounted as being far too low. The African American community suffered countless deaths, but racial inequities of the time kept their names from the final tallies. The Tupelo tornado still rates as one of the worst in U.S. history. And in one final note, many people I spoke to did not even know a tragedy had hit Tupelo, but they recognized the name of one survivor. That storm barely missed the home of a one-year-old Elvis Presley.
Oh, unbelievable. The photos alone were shocking, but then, you know, we were sitting here talking about, she lived through that and held the hands of grieving families and then those that went on to heaven. And there she sits looking, you know, just like a peach.
We found that there was very little record left of this event. Kip Gordon, one of our producers who worked very hard on that, scoured looking for evidence. There wasn't a whole lot remaining. So to have her words and those photos means a lot. To remember it means a lot. And I think we need to take a moment to remember how lucky we are to have the technology and the advanced warning time in such an event. At that time, there were no televisions in Tupelo and no warning system in place.
Well, can you imagine going on a first date and it being in the middle of a tornado? I mean, from across a century, this memory is just alive now with her as it was then.
Just like
and
yesterday.
I can't imagine that happening today.
Did she marry the guy that she was on the date with?
No, I don't know that she may have seen him again. She said that she was with a girlfriend and it was a double date. And when the storm hit, he disappeared into the night in the rain to check on his mother.
Yeah.
And they all went in different directions in that inky blackness. No power, the rain pouring down, and just, as she said, over the debris, getting over the debris.
Her recollection is remarkable.
It's a great story.
Unbelievable. It is a great story. Thanks, Joey.
Sure.